Good morning. Thank you for joining me for today's stamping session. My name is Tracy Held. I'm in Melbourne in Australia, and this is our normal Sunday morning session. This is the card that we're going to be making today. It's a really easy card, and you're going to be able to create heaps of these cards with really minimal effort, and you're going to be amazed at how lovely they are every time. So the star of this card is the Designer Series paper, and this is the new Horizons DSP. So let's just go through and show you what they look like. I must admit that when I first saw this paper, I was kind of, I'm not so sure about this. But now that I've actually got it in my hand, it is awesome. And it's just so easy to create a scene which lands up looking pretty realistic. So you've got 10 different designs there, and then the reverse sides are a bit more, I guess, abstract, but they're very usable. Let's try and get those out the way so that I can show you the paper. So you're really going to want this paper. It is awesome. The other thing that we're using is on the Horizons stamp set, and I've got the matching Horizons die. Now you'll notice with these dies you've got these two little fence pieces, and they actually slope down and sort of go from larger to smaller, so it gives you that depth perception that it looks like your fence is sloping in. And for the fence today, I just used a piece of the Heart and Home DSP. So any one of these with this woody grain at the back is awesome. I love that paper. And this is a really simple fold, but I think it looks really effective where I've just cut off a piece here and stuck a piece of DSP on the inside. So let's get started. Like I said, this is so easy, and you can just make tons of them just cutting up your pieces of DSP. So for my card, which I did have a little note here about my sizes. Okay, so it's my standard 14.9, and then I've cut that at 19.5 centimeters, and it's scored at 10.5. If you're working in inches, it would be 5.5 by 7 7/8, and you're going to cut off a 1/2 inch. Now, what you can do if you don't want to do the cutting and scoring is cut it your normal size, fold it in half, and then just go and cut your 1.5 centimeters or 1/2 inch off the side, and it works exactly the same. You just don't want to cut it off before you folded it, because then you're going to battle to find where the middle is. Right, then we've got our DSP, and I've cut that to 11.5 centimeters by 5 centimeters, which is going to be your 2 inches by 4 3/4 inches. Now here I've just done a direct conversion because it's going to be the same. And then I've got my piece, which is 14.9 centimeters by 2 centimeters, which would be your 5.5 inches, and it needs to be about 5/8 of an inch. And then I've got my backing, which is just my normal extra 1/2 centimeter all round, so 12 centimeters by 5.5, which would be your 5 inches by 2 1/4. Right, so let's do some stamping. I'm actually going to stamp onto my DSP. So with my Memento ink, we've got these bulrushes, and I'm actually going to stamp them slightly higher on this one than I did on my original. Okay, so there's them. And then we've got the birds flying in the sky. Now, I have to admit that it's going to sound really silly, but this is one of my favorite stamps in the set. I just love these birds. And I did actually smudge that stamp a bit, but it doesn't matter. It looks okay. And while I'm doing my stamping, I'm going to quickly stamp my sentiment as well. Okay. And that's with Light of Navy. And this is what I'm saying to you. It is so easy to make these cards. You can just smash out a whole lot. Right, now all that I'm doing is cutting around the sentiment. There's no right or wrong way. Or sometimes I look at when people have done this and I think, oh, was there a die that cut that out? But no, it's just cut by hand and just going around the words. And I'm missing a piece of navy. Give me 1 second. There we go. I don't want to cut up my background piece. And then all that I'm doing is sticking that onto my navy cardstock. I'll give it a little bit of a border at the bottom. And then just eyeballing it, trying to keep the same distance around it, just cutting that out again. So my sentiments will never look exactly the same because I'm probably not going to cut them around exactly the same every time, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I'm making a few of the cards, they don't look 100% the same. Right, and then we're ready to assemble as easily as that. So we're going to stick my DSP, if the glue would like to come out, onto my background sheet, or my matte piece rather. There we go. We can stick that onto the front of my card. Now I am sticking it towards the top so that I've got space at the bottom here for my fence to go. My strip can go on the inside. Now, my husband was absolutely fascinated with this. He just thinks that it is so effective. And he was saying, oh, it looks like the side is like the front piece, but just zoomed in a bit. And I'm going, yep, okay. It wasn't supposed to be anything. I was just putting it, but if you can see it zoomed in or looking different, well, that's great. A bit of glue on the back of my fence posts. And here you can see why I wanted to stamp my brushes a little bit higher than I had before, so that there's just more of them that's showing out through the fence over there. I thought my dimensionals were hiding from me again, even though I made a point of bringing them. So a couple of dimensionals behind the sentiment. Just going to take a little piece of the corner here to put up there. And we'll put another bit, why not? And then the last thing that this needs is some of these enamel pebble shapes. Now again, these are really nice. They're just really effective and they have a really nice smooth feel to them. My husband was nearly stealing them from me because he just liked running his finger over the feel of them. So these are really nice as well. You know, sometimes you look at things in the catalogue and you think, yeah, I don't know, they look alright, but I don't know if I'm that keen. And then when you actually have them in your hand, you decide, well, why did I ever think that? Because these really are amazing. So there's our card. You can probably get 2 cards out of one piece of DSP because, you know, those are going to be almost 2 inches each, 5 centimeters, and then you're cutting the sides. So you could probably get, if you were using 2 pieces of DSP, you could get 4 cards out because you could cut 1 into 3. I don't know. Okay, never mind all that. I have to do the maths and figure that one out. I've just gone and got myself confused. Now, I haven't finished this card. This is still an idea that's in my head and it's bobbing around, but I just thought I'd show you what I'm playing with. So again, this is the same DSP. It's just one of the other pieces. But what I've done is I've taken the evergreen embossing folder and just inked it up with some mossy meadow and then run the DSP through, but just putting it through that I've got the bottom here which doesn't have the trees on, and then I've stamped my wolf. So I'm going to play with this a little bit more and see what I can come up with, but I just like the effect of the trees on the DSP. So let me know what you think about that and I'll show you what my finished card looks like. I hope you have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and I will catch up with you again next Sunday. Until then, bye.